Well, thanks for inviting me up, and glad to see you here this evening, and we hope that first my name is Paul Dill McClish because my mom was a Dill. Grandmom was Elva Lyle, who married Elva Dill. So that kind of connects things. I have a picture up there of her dad looking at of my mother, and it gives the sequence and the generations back to I forget how many greats, back to John Dill from Ireland. Not John Dill, but John Lyle from Ireland. So so this is pretty much a history of the brick house, 1859 Lyle, and the farmland around it. Originally, I'll take a little bit. I want to introduce the folks that came with me. My wife, Paul, she has a girl named Pauline. She goes with Polly. So she's my younger by, I'm 85, and she's my younger by. So she wrote that in. And Mary, my sister, right there, she's 76. And Mary, her picture, we got all the graduation pictures up there and how we looked at one time. And she's always been real active and physically fit, but to everyone's dismay, or just last April, she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So she's always tried to keep physically fit and taught physical education at Granville High School and so forth. But the cancer's giving her trouble, but she's gradually improving, though, thanks to good treatment at the James Cancer at OSU. So we're thankful for that. She's been a snowbird for, I don't know, past many years between Florida, 20 or so, and between Florida and Ohio. So she, as it turns out, is my living resident at the house. So Brent's my oldest son. He's 62. He's got wife, 3 children, and Brian and Rachel, and a church of them, Brian and Rachel. I have the 3. Brent, checked it right. Marjorie, my daughter, she's the middle of the 3. She's married to our pastor's twin brother, missionaries up in Nova Scotia. And then Matt is my youngest son. He lives in Marietta, works in Atlanta. He's a partner down there with Price Waterhouse, who's an accountant. He got tired of milking cows, so they became the challenge. So we live now at Washington Courthouse, about a mile east of town. Brent's about 5 miles west of town. And he farms, has about 300 acres, and he helps in his father-in-law's operation. But he's and his wife Nancy had a greenhouse for 39 years. It knows a real nice greenhouse there. That more 5 miles outside of Washington Courthouse at Myra Trace School. So his son still farms. His son Brian is I think we have, got those generations. Mary and I are the 6th generation to be on the farm, eventually work on the farm. And Brett is the 7th because he helped me. He used to help my grandpa Dill, Elwood Dill, make hay for years. When I was really young, I'd come over and help him stay a week at a time. And then his son stayed overnight when we had the big ice storm up here. Probably remember that several years back. And they stayed that night helping Mary keep the generator going. So Brian's the 8th generation to stay at the house. So most of you know the farm as the McClish Farm, I think, because that's where it's been for 67 years since 1955, when Mom died as a junior in high school, and my grandfather, Elwood Dill, died a year later. So that's when my dad started farm there in the mid-50s. And so that's the reason associated from the McClish Farm for the last 67 years. Prior to that, it's known as the Dill Farm, when my grandfather Elwood married Elwood and Dill, and Elwood and Lytle, I'm sorry. And then it went on back from there. So prior to 1916, it was known as the Dill Farm to 16 to 55. And then from back in 1960, 16, well, clear back to about 1841, it was a Lyle farm. And first owner was Robert Lyle. Yep. But John Lyle was his son, and he's the one that actually willed the farm to Elwood and married Elwood Dill. So that's kind of the background on it. My daughter March, that's up in Nova Scotia, I give her a lot of credit. She's done all the genealogy. We mentioned John Dill and his wife here. It's on the screen. And this was a picture out of the Franklin County history book. And the residence is a little bit cut off there. There's a better picture, and I saw one, but I was unable to get it for this evening. But we see that rail fence going along there, or along here. And on this side of the rail fence was the Charles Obetz farm, where Obetz now stays. So, and it's country then when Obetz farmed it. So that gives you an idea of what it looked like way back. A little aside here, so you can appreciate the this is a and I'm not acquainted with these things. Does that go up on the screen okay?
Yes.
So first time I viewed once. This is a map of Hamilton Township, got from the courthouse to right there, Columbus, 1872 map. And you can see right there is the John Lyle farm. And so if we go like this, that's a square mile. And square miles are divided in, that's a section, and they call it a section, square mile. And so they're divided into quarters. You can see John Lyle had a quarter of 160 acres. And right north of him was when Charles Obetz, where the village now is, had his farm, which is town map. So, and just as an aside, it's kind of interesting. Our family goes back closer than the Dills. The Dills are down here on Bixby Road, and they started about 1800. And the McClishes were right here. That's move up your shoulders, but okay, like that. The McClishes were right here. So we're only talking maybe 2 miles up to Lyle's farm, and the Dills. So the Dills all came from the state of Delaware, around the Kent and the Kent County Delawareans. And my grandfather was one of the last ones to come, Delawareans, who lived at the farm there we're talking about. So he always used to brag and go to the barbershop, said he'd name every county in Delaware, and they bet he couldn't, but there was only 3 counties in Delaware. So one of those favorable stories. But an interesting thing, we'll just get off the maps. At Hamilton, you can see all those are perfectly square, square mile sections, and then they're divided into quarters or quarter, and then beyond divided on down. So your land today on your deed still goes back to what section you're in, even your lot at town, and what township it's in, and what range. There's usually 6 townships out range. And a range, there's 24 miles side to side of the 6 townships normally, where it's laid out in square miles. But right across the river here, side of the river is the line, and I got a maps up there if you're interested. And everything west of the side of the river, clear over to the Little Miami River, which is over around South Charleston and runs diagonally to Cincinnati. So everything between the Scioto and the Little Miami, all the way down to the Ohio, and it starts almost near Kenton, where the South River starts up there in Hart County. All that land was given to Washington to pay off his veterans of the American Revolution. They didn't have any money, so they paid him off, and in that manner. And so all that land is well, I don't see it, but all that land's laid out in what they call meets and bounds. There's not any square miles. And north doesn't have north and south and east and west roads. As you notice when you go west of the river, and like in Pickaway, Deer, Franklin. And so it's laid out like England's laid out. And all the 13 colonies were laid out that way. And Kentucky, Tennessee, and Texas. The rest of the country is all square miles, like this shows. So just below the side. There it's interesting to me. Of course, I've been in real estate since 1963, brother since 1974, kind of specialized in farm sale. And also, probably I rooted milk cows for 22 years, and got hooked into that, helping. We had Reddington jerseys. But so we've done several things over the years after graduating Ohio State dairy technology. My dad, I don't know if any of you will remember now, but his name was actually Richard. They referred to him as McClish, but we had the dairy over in the Hartman farm. And how many remember Hartman farm?
Yeah. Yep. I remember the dairy.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think they stole in the 5. He started down on Roar Road at the old McClish, that where I pointed out McClish is on that map south of a lot of us, about 2 miles. He started out milking his jerseys down there. Things were going so well, he started delivering his milk, and he needed a bigger place, so he talked to the High National Bank trust officer if he could rent the Hartman milk plant in the mid-30s, 1930s. And they said, well, sitting there idle, because they had hung on to the raw milk idea, no pasteurization, they bottled it, but it was all about. So he was pasteurizing his milk, but that's how he got started over there by the guy. After I was born there, that was my home upstairs in the milk plant for a while. But so he drank just that to about 1957, I would say, and sold his dairy to Pestle Milk. They sold the Bushel Creamery, and they sold the Better Gold. Now, when he started in the 30s, there were 60 dairies at Columbus milk plants. Some of them are on the farms around town, and now there's none. But now pasteurized milk in Columbus anymore, so that whole industry then gobbled up by the chain store milk plants like Kroger, Walmart. But anyway, He was a actor felon, president of Plymouth Mill Distributors for a while. Good dad. Was on that map. It's kind of interesting. We got to see the trail of history of the township, but the families, how they go. Of course, now places came in about 1807, and so it part of the township down there. But Dills were early 1800s, and the Lyles were the same. My daughter, Marge, this, I don't know if she's interested in genealogy at all, but of course, she's the one who did it for a 4-H project back in the 70s. And so it starts with her and I'm her father, and my mother was Beatrice Dill. There's a picture over there. And she married Alfred Dill, but her name was Beatrice Lott before she was married. And her mother was Elva and Lyle. So from the Elva and Lyle, their father was Samuel Harvey Lyle. Intended. Let's make this a sentence of one word for it. Anyway, Samuel Harvey Lyle's father was John Lyle. And he's the one that willed the farm to my grandmother, Ann Lyle. And then he came and my mother got it from there and held it till 1955. She passed on once of dead. So that kind of gives you, but it follows on back as you go back to the John Lyle. I got it here somewhere, but I can't find it. His father was Robert Lyle. He's the one that bought the farm at 18, according to the records I dug up at the county, in 1841. Now his father was also a John Lyle, and Robert was born in 1785, bought the farm in 1845. But his dad was another John Lyle that was a native of Ireland, native country. So goes back a long way.
Yeah, really?
So we've all been farmers over the years, still are. So we got a picture where we live there. Brent's still farming a lot of land back there. We're still trying to put in some field tile, and so I haven't given up yet. Cool. Then, and then that genealogy chart Marge worked up with been so helpful to our family, because she not only did the she not only did the and followed back from me to my mom to the Lyles, Samuel Harvey. And right here, this Eliza Jane Johnson. You remember the brick house up there on Groveport Road?
Yeah,
Pretty silly. That was the Johnston, the STON on it, Johnston Farm. So they were related to the Lyles, because Samuel Harvey married Eliza Jane Johnston. So that was kind of a historic place too. And but then it followed on back from Samuel to John, then to Robert, and then to the first John in Ireland. He came into Ohio about around 1800. the first thing the Lyles bought was in Clinton Township, which was on the Old Danger River, directly across the west side of the river from Hyatt Stadium. So they had about 200 acres there. And so that's the first place they sold around 1800. No. And they were still there when I was a boy, and because my mom took me up there and showed me the brick house that used to be along Old Tandy River Road there. So I'm sure they're long gone now. The university's taken everything.
Well, you know.
Or to their school. And
True.
so they were early on there, on a good bit of the west of the river. Because I found out Old Danzy River used to be called the Whetstone River. And I suppose that's where this Whetstone High School and the players today are just their name. So it's kind of interesting side, like, we can keep this team up.
But now.
But Mars did a good job. She took the McClishes all the way back to James. She was born in 1776, and she took the Dills all the way back into Delaware. And you got Lyle, and she took Polly side of the family too, the same way all the way back. She worked for Jarno next for a teenager.
And you know, very Valley.
So, yes, some of the memories that I remember when I came over to help Grandpa Dale, I was probably 7 to 11 years old, come over a week at a time. And he had an old tractor, and I got a picture of it over Minneapolis Moley on the table up there. The only difference between that one and the one he had, that's steel wheels, and he had rubber tires on his, so you could get them into the way. But I can still remember it didn't have fenders, so you had to hold on to the seat, stand on the draw bar if you were a kid. And so I'd hold on to the seat, go up to Jack Jones, just gas. Oh, it's a gas station, did groceries all the time, so I can remember doing that. That helped me make hay. He used a wire-tied baler that today it's all automatic. The guy sits in the cab, they just tied the bales and everything like that. And I would drive the tractor, young boy, and he would ride back there where all the plunger and the dust, everything was going on, the chaff was flying all around, but they used to put a block in, and then as it pushed the bales out the chamber, they'd put another block in, but while that was all happening, he would push in wires, bring them around, and hand-tied wires before they went off, shoot at the other end. So that was some of my jobs. You got the young guy at the pool school ever helped him. He was a great beekeeper. He'd had a bunch of hives, good nature, and then he had a Victrola. So that's the only piece of furniture that I have at our house. And it's a crank Victrola
Entering.
at 78 RPM. He had a whole group of writers still plays, so it's kind of like an interesting case. But that's what we do in the evening, and that was our entertainment. That's correct. It's important to me. It was kind of nice before TV and computers in a way. Yeah, but
Yes, it was.
the life was a little more pure. And, trouble wasn't an option because you usually worked late, had your meal, and did a little something, went to bed, got up, and did it all over again.
Yeah. You can't.
We always just a kid when we were milking cows. The only difference between milking cows and being in jail is you didn't have to milk cows in jail because they were both confined to this jail and never get away. But it was a good life. And friends, his sister, his brother, had a good family, and everybody knows Christ is their Savior, so that's what's most important. So well, that's the essence of what I have. And I don't know if anybody has. Oh, another thing is, and I got a picture. Chris Hahn, the Hahns were neighbors west of us, and his dad Chuck. I don't know if you knew Chuck. And then of course Ray was the father, Chuck, that on this one map in 1910 shows Charles House, the number where Chris lives now on that map.
Yeah.
And that would have been Ray's dad. And Chris told me yesterday he was going to try to make it tonight, but he shared he had copies of the Lyle Friend family and out of the courthouse or history place on 17th Avenue. And he said that his family originated in Groveport, Charles, and they came over to farm where John Warner's farm was across from high school,
Right.
which was owned by the Herb. It was HERR at the time. They rented that farm for purpose. And then later, Charles married one of the Warner girls, and that's how the Warners are related.
How they die.
So, of course, Chuck and Chris have been such great help. But my dad started farming, and I suppose he was in his late mid-50s to early 60s. My farm there after he sold dairy, Perkins Farms. Dad passed on, but so he started farming there. Had a pull-type combine, and Harris tractor, equipment of the day, and he kept farming there into the 70s and the 80s. He was getting old, and so finally, he and Chuck were such good friends. And Chuck says, he always called him Mac. He also called him Reverend. But he says, Mac, you get tired, you can't handle something, you just call us and we'll pick up where you leave off. So that's why it was kind of a combination farming years for a while. And then ended up, they farmed it totally as that over passed on. So we've had a long relationship with Chuck and Chris and they done great job. And they were good part of the community as well. It was interesting to give from Chris his history. Because most of you know Hans, and they've been a real plus for the community. Another little sidelight is Dad used to like to bowl with the men at church on the hill. And Chuck didn't go there, but he liked to go bowling with them. And they went over somewhere around Aiken Road to a bowling alley. And so one night they went over there, and I've never been a bowler, but you know, when they pass out your shoes and so forth, and the guy doing, I don't know if it's the owner or what, but he mistook Dad as the preacher on the group. And he said, Reverend, what size are your shoes? And from that time on, Chuck Hahn called Dad Reverend. He always liked to tease you, Reverend, what are you going to do? What's up to that? You know? So it's funny how the name sticks with him. Speaking of Walnut Hill, a lot of these families are buried there. And a man named Morris, so I found out from Friends of Canada History, Thomas J. Morris, came in 1800, and there was just a meeting in the houses first, and then they had a log building, and then he had farms right there, because of Walnut Hill, and he donated 2 years of land when he died, and $1,000. That was like 1830.
That's a lot of money.
Which was a lot of money back then, to be invested and the interest to pay for the upkeep of the cemetery, which is still going today, as far as I know.
Right.
So, and the church was actually, the brick church was actually built in 1869, and I think the cost for the brick church was $6,400. But all the lives were buried there. There must be, when you first go in the old drive, also Rats Home. They're up about 6 or 7 rows, and there's probably 8 or 10 stones and even a second row of lives. And then my great-grandfather William McClish. He was born in 1812. He's buried right beyond the Lyle there, just go up the hill. And the rest of the McClishes are down closer to the driveway with my dad. And, he had 8 brothers, 3 sisters, so a big family. And
Big pampies.
the 2 died in infancy, but pretty strong women back those days.
And
When you figured they were cooking on wood stoves and irons you had to put on the stove, keep taking off, and horse boars. And I don't know how they got it all done. 11 children, but they were pretty hardy. So that's just some of the memories I have. Dad wrote about. He mentioned, and they always like to get the corn in by decoration. He always referred to it as decoration. They had television. And said then the farmer would all go to the cemetery and mow the weeds with scythe, mow the cemetery down because stuff was starting to become a bit high. So that was that's the way they kept the cemetery up. The Dills are mostly buried over here at the Bleacher Cemetery. So that's kind of the history of the family. And how we all started waiting around Gary. Any questions?
I have a question. Do you remember the train station we used to have? Because when I was little and I went to the elementary school at Obetz,
remember.
I remember it, but I was so little. I don't remember any traffic around it. You know, some people were living in it back in the 60s when I was in grade school. Do you what was that like? Was it busy? Was it what was that like?
What happened? Of course, I showed you that quarter section,
Yeah.
the square before the CNO went through. They had all 160 acres. CNO cut off 17 acres and a slither off the west side over against hot ground. Yeah. And then on the east side, the Scioto Traction Railroad came through on the east edge of the farm.
Right.
And it had a third rail, if you remember.
I remember that rail being in that. It's not there anymore on Groveport Road. But I heard one lady you lived down on Groveport Road said one of the trains crashed into one of the houses one time.
Oh, is that right?
Went off the rail.
Yeah.
And that was kind of interesting. But
yeah, I was a bit of a daredevil when I was over here with Grandpa. We're at 7, 8, 9 years old. I used to jump back and forth across that third.
yeah.
But good thing I didn't touch it.
When did you come here? Or were you born here?
Were you born here in Obetz?
No, I was born on the Hartman farm.
Oh, on the heart.
You've been here basically the whole time.
Yeah.
And when was that? What year was that?
I was born in 1938.
Okay. Because my neighbors, when I was about 14, they showed me an 8.5 by 11 of Teddy Roosevelt standing on the back of a trolley car at the Obetz Junction.
Is that right?
Yeah, I wish I could have got it.
Now there's a picture
young.
up there of what you're all talking about of the station.
Yeah.
And I remember as a boy, and there's a picture of the engine and the coal cars I got on the table up there. So I can remember NW used to where the little park is there now.
Yeah.
With
The Veterans Park.
Rail yard.
That was a rail yard.
Yeah. NW used to push several 8 to 15 coal cars off there on the siding, and rail NW's high, so it was sloped. They'd go down that slope and push them up toward what's the splash place there today.
And when did they get rid of that?
Yeah.
Well,
Was that before?
I think it says there is, it went with the coal until about 1955. It of course quit the passenger in the 1930s. The automobile came on.
Yes.
And they wouldn't ride the interurban anymore. And that's everybody referred to it as the interurban, I think. And but they pushed those down, and then I don't know if you remember, but there was a bridge. They went under the N&W they'd take those cars and they'd go down under the big railroad and take those cars toward Groveport. And there was a power plant over there up Bixby Road, way over there, Pickaway Power Plant. And so that's how they brought the coal, that power plant off the W. And then it would go on into Groveport. But there's several pictures there of it. It went on to Canal Winchester, below that yet. And then it also, after you went by our farm there, where Rusty is, you know, just below 270, there's kind of a slither there where he had all his trucks. But on the west edge of that sliver, that's where the interurban line went on down to Greece and eventually Circleville, Chillicothe, well, the way down there. See, then there was a switch you pull off there. The car bar is still down there. Reed's, well, the brick building, I think, is still there. They use that for warehouse storage or something out. When I was a boy, that's where they parked the engine. Shows
Right, I remember seeing pictures of that.
Yeah.
And then also, I was talking to Pete Carnian before he's passed, and he said the traction line that went to Groveport, if you look in the middle of the Obetz Cemetery, there's telephone poles through there, and that's where the tracks laid, right next to the poles. And that's where it was. That's where they went. They turned and went down that way toward Groveport, right there. And the poles are still there,
Yeah.
but the tracks is gone.
Yeah, Rathmel used to come up farther and it crossed. Allen Creek Drive wasn't there below Groveport Road, as I recall. But you could keep following Rathmel over and you cross that interurban, and then they would hit Groveport Pipe. You'd go on to Groveport that way.
There was a house over there, and when did the family named Cox lived there, Bonnie Cox?
Is that right?
I'm pretty sure that's where her house was, but of course all that's gone now. But
Yeah.
that was in the late 50s and early 60s. But I don't know when they took it out.
That farm that was there, it lasted a long time before the auto auction went there. And it was just kind of work.
Wasn't that the Neiman farm where the auto auction is?
There, one other name there beside Neiman, I can't remember what it was. Yep, that's right. But, you know, it's amazing. And Hardrun, he put his own interurban line in right down US 23, because he had, where I grew up, there helping on the death dairy. And there's just a whole nother history there. I think then he brought the interurban up right down US 23 because next to the milk plant, he built a power plant back in the early 1900s. Didn't have electric down there. So he went electric and he built his own power plant, put a real tall chimney up and the whole deal. And he had a hotel there where we stayed after he left the milk plant. He had a summer home just north of Rathmel Road on the west side. And then he built his hotel south, and it's where Rathmel Road intersection is. They became apartments. That's where we live, and we had the dairy over there where I grew up. But he was quite an entrepreneur. He made all his money selling Corona to George. That was what do you call it?
Elixir.
Yeah.
What was it?
And liquid.
Those to cure all your ills.
The Eastern one that's down at the school has a whole thing on Hartman Farms, showing pictures and everything of the buildings.
Did he leave it, or would he take it with him when he left?
No, it's
Yeah.
I think it's still the school thing.
No, you need to Groveport. You missed that. Everybody's wives moved over to Groveport. They shoot at Groveport now.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure he still got it all.
So, yeah. And John Barth had a big election, Barbara Clayball's husband, Isn't Carberry.
Right.
And he had a tremendous collection. It's part of each market stuff. But yeah, I grew up rolling around those bars, we went to the river that comes and saw us or to come and show what we did. And 2,300 acres run through Williams Road to Shadeville. Was included where it's sited Downs now. And I don't know. I remember barn 21. It may have been more than that, but I mean, he built most of the barns out of white pine with slip siding and then lap siding on top, and slate roofs, and I mean, everything was number one. You did had every kind of one you could imagine: chickens, specialty, hogs, ducks, and geese. Story goes that he never turned a guy down that wanted to work. Hire him to pick up feathers, if nothing else. The story. But interesting individual, but it's hard to believe it's all gravel to the out. But yeah. And
Taken down to
grapes, fortune, and all that. So there were 80 acres of grapes on the west side of 23. Had 40 acres on the east side in 23.
And this is a great harbor too. That's been there for a long time, and then they finally destroyed it.
The line and farm management said they couldn't find anybody to take it over, so they just
got rid of
worked it out. Started planting corn and soy. It was a shame. Yeah, but they did buy grape juice in half gallons, or 5 gallons.
We had
our little stand for the dairy, right? So it's small baristers in that companies around here and all this food ship. Yeah.
all we had was warehouses.
I used to haul stuff down there when that's dairy for ice cream to supply the stand. I was on there like, I don't know, 11 or 12 years old. And I mean, cross the highways from the west side and run down the burns along bars to the stand. But one time I got over to a grave, and coming back, I got on the highways going up at the left-hand turn at the farm, going back to the dairy. So, and look at that. And then I made a left-hand signal with my finger, and then I pulled off. A state patrol and pulled up beside of me. And of course, I was petrified. I said, and I scooched up high as I could scooch up, and he says, "Hey, fella, if you're going to make a left-hand turn, you don't pull off to the right." And he went on. And I was sure of that. Yeah. So it was a fun place to grow up. But there's good questions there about the traction and in the station. And it shows some pictures of the other stations at Crowport and that little book, some Crowport book there somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's where some of those pictures are from. Okay.
I was trying to come up with some pictures of the harvest only, just from my knowledge, but I got to looking up a lot of the inner urban, so there's a lot of information on harvest alder, but also over here having searched that. But I was surprised how much information.
About that Hartman type.
Yeah, it was, in a way, it was good mode of transportation. And it's much good. I worked pretty well with they get to downtown. Well, as I understand it, went right over the viaduct, Groveport Road, because it would intersect with the old rail yard. I think it went over that viaduct. In fact, I think that's why it was built. Maybe it's that's it. Well, interesting times.
Paul, I think you told me they built onto the house at one point.
Oh, yeah. I took a picture and I could show it to you, but the house was built. The picture I saw once up at the history place, and I never been able to get back to the right book, but it's got a pretty good picture of the original brick house built by, that would have been built by Robert Lyle, the before 1785, died in 1862. That's what the house was built about 1860. And so it was a standard center hall, rooms on both sides, brick house. Of course, it's got an earthen base and still does. And but then Elwood and Elba, Elwood Dill, and Elwood, and right around the 1920s, of course, it was the roaring 20s, everything looked upward Nazi. And so they expanded that, didn't quite double it, but it was close to half as much again on the front. Yeah, so it's real nice. It's got a lot of nice oak woodwork and all that. But and he built a state-of-the-art dairy at the time, and he silos, tile silos. Those were there by a place. Remember that they. When I was helping Dad, I put up the fence along my there. It's the only one still standing. That fence along Lancaster Avenue. I just all overgrown. Can't see the fence. But Dad was keeping cattle there. I was helping him, and but they. It was it's lost my train of thought there. That would be 427. As you remember, the little White House, but probably nothing there. There were 40 catawba trees there in the yard. That was something to mow out all those. But they kept catawba tree. There was another catawba grove down there, about where just below 270, about the pond. It's down there. But the catawba wood, it's kind of like cedar. It takes forever to rot. And they grow those groves to make fence posts. So that way the fence posts would be rot out so like that. But it lasts a long time. So that's some kind of another old side like there.
And she was at the clan at our Austin's house and
My mom, when first she found those, probably in the teens. Yeah. So there's a postage. They all there's of course Obetz bought the farm there at 2020 at Mary's Gutters, running stock by the house, correlation, cut and the transaction, but they've hired some guys to mow the lawn and take care of things there, but they didn't realize the hosta bolts were there, so some of them in the center kind of got eliminated, but they still look pretty good this year. Yeah, they're kind of an unusual strain in a way. Of course, they're big truck. So, clean. Yeah, a lot of history back through there. And of course, you had Charles Obetz as not Charles, but that grandfather. I think
yes, but that was his son because he did.
Robert.
she was still. I think she's name was also Rob Winch is here. Yeah, this was his doctor.
She's pretty eyes up to
Carol Madison here. And my dad, when he got uveitis, I was on a milk crop where they inclined their fight and there were a lot of milk in the day. So I don't know if it's even drink all of it. It came down with that uveitis, it was clots in your leg and that passed up. This was in the pollen 1953, it passed up to his lungs and started filling up his lungs with fluid. It just about took him. I mean, he could hardly get his breath. They finally got it reversed. But Dr. Obetz at the point took care of it. He had in fact, he's the one that diagnosed my mom with the cancer. It took her when I was a junior. She was up in that medical building next to Grant Hospital because she was walking that hall towards me. Everybody called her name was Beatrice. They always called her B. And he said, B, I think you got a broken hip. And sure enough, the x-ray, the hip was broken. I cut tumor in it. You can enough of that hole in your hip there with just interbone so thin it broke it when she sat down. So, whoa, that touched surgery, doubtful. Come to the U.S. maybe 3 years or so. Kept rallying back, and I tried to help her there. We were still talking hard, but you could see her cheekbones and her jawbones. It was a long part though.
Has anybody that I caught somebody went to Obetz Elementary School?
I did.
Sure.
I came in second grade.
I did. I went all the way through.
Little milk cartons that we used to get.
Uh-huh.
They were not with a position.
Really?
Scared.
Yeah, we used to have milk every day, and the only thing that's standing when I went to school is we had the kindergarten on the stage. It's still there today.
And we used to eat it.
Right, and we ate in the
In the gym.
in the gym.
The way to school with Jerry.
Yeah, we were in school there too.
Because after my class graduated from 60 or in 66, and there was 67 was the last class that went through. That was the oldest ones that went to the high school. And then there was 2 classes after that went to the middle school when they built it. But yeah, I went all the way through. As I say, I graduated from 6th grade here.
So did Jerry.
Yep.
We used to deliver that milk in glass half pint bottles at home for neighbors and to the high school and the other schools. But I went to Sagueville because I was on the Harvard farm. And it's just two-room school. I had 3 grades downstairs and 3 grades upstairs. Miss Mitchell was landing downstairs. She had taught for 35, 40 years. She was taught. Miss Redmond was upstairs and 4, 5, and 6. But where you had the desk with your seat, the desk on one in front of the other, you know, how all connected there. But we got a pretty good education. I ended up graduating Ohio State.
Wait a minute, I got a question for you then. Most every boy that went through school got waxed. Did you get some?
Yeah, I did get away. Yeah, she wasn't. She didn't hold back on whacking. But they were any mischief. Of course, our restrooms were outside toilets.
Right.
So you had boys and girls in that building, and it was across the playground. And I remember, I think his name was Michael Rogers. He's kind of character, and he used to play Red Road Rock. I'm sure you ever played that.
You ever played it?
We held the arms and tried to rush her.
Yeah.
And so we
You put that today.
got over in. So Mike, he used to just lock his jaw and so determined to break through the arms.
Oh, yeah.
And we opened up the arm.
And
The trash bathhouse
oh, that was me.
just went down. Knocked him out. So we got pretty big trouble over that one. But Miss Mitchell was, she got the disciplinary, and then the furnace was right there in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade room, cold furnace.
Yeah.
And, she was in charge of throwing the coal in and bringing it in. And
Not to be mentioned.
he was just he'd rise and just had registers for upstairs, and he'd come right up to the registers and he'd do 4th, 5th, 6th grade. Man. So,
You remember all the times when you got in trouble, but you don't really remember all the good stuff, right?
yeah,
Isn't that the way it is?
it seems like, although we had some awful good times, that's cool.
We just had our 50th class reunion, and that's about what we talked about, how many times we got waxed and all the things we didn't do that was right. But we had fun doing it.
And we had Miss Belcher, if any of you remembered her.
Oh, yes.
Willie Boston, teacher when I was there.
Baltimore, yeah.
Miss France, Miss Brewer.
Miss Brewer, I remember.
Not many people knew Mr. Cole either.
Yeah, Miss Cole.
Mr. Cole was a great teacher.
He's been there forever.
He was.
And then Miss Harp taught typing. We had
What's the math?
tell us at Mr. Baird was
Mrs. Leonard. You remember Mrs. Leonard?
I don't remember.
She was a math teacher.
Okay. Miss Wilson kind of taught a lot of math and geometry. And then before her was Mr. Heischman. He was the Navy commander, I think. He was tough.
If you would have been here in the grade schools, Mrs. Wagner, she was pretty old when we went to school, and she had a ruler out there, and buddy, she wasn't afraid to use it.
Put your fingers on the table.
Oh, get your hand out there, and she'd whack it, and I remember that.
Fingernails have to be clean.
Yep, fingernails clean and everything, buddy. She was right on top of it. Yeah.
But learning begins with discipline here. And they had this,
Oh, you did.
I mean, and teachers are so hamstrung today.
Maybe that's why we turned out okay, because they
But this-
gave us discipline and taught us the right way to go and and manners and all that stuff. And they don't teach that today.
But Andrew,
Yeah, the problem is they should.
They can't, they're not allowed.
They're afraid.
They can't give wax either.
And the kids know it, and they threaten to sue them if they try to enforce any discipline. That's a shame.
It's sad, isn't it?
It's sad.
It is.
So we're not killing people.
Or- You know, that George Washington on one side of the teacher picture, and Abraham Lincoln was on the other, or just had good values.
You said that pledge of allegiance, as you said the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah, every Lord's Prayer and a little Bible reading or pledge of allegiance.
And look how we all turned out.
Same my country does what they had to start. After that,
The good times.
yeah, got to teach values.
You do.
They just don't even know what they're missing today. They don't even know what the values are. And that they are teaching civics in most high schools.
They're not even teaching them how to write their names.
Yeah.
Spelling.
Yeah. What a shame.
No wonder they're stupid.
Actually,
I could just pick it out.
I heard this. That's all I have. Unless you got any other questions, you're welcome to look through all that about the interurban. It kind of explains those maps over there between square miles and Virginia military survey. Rivers the dividing line. And so I sell real estate farms. And people come in our area. Washington Courthouse is in the middle of the Virginia military survey because named the town after Washington. They're all veterans of the Revolution, and you know, prospects are coming from other parts of Ohio, and you know, we're going down these roads and they're all regular. They said, "Who laid this all out?" Because they're from square miles. So that's how it happened.
Well, thanks for telling us all this stuff.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate it. We like to hear good stuff.
Appreciate it.